Emily sat on the living room floor of their large suburban home, her tiny fingers gripping her wrist tightly as tears streamed down her cheeks. "My hand hurts so much," she sobbed, her voice high and broken, echoing through the quiet house. Her mother, startled by the sudden cry, rushed in from the kitchen and knelt beside her. Panic set in as she saw the swelling starting to form on her daughter's small wrist. She tried to calm her down, brushing strands of hair from Emily's damp face, but the pain was too much for the little girl to bear. The sound of her sobbing filled the entire house, piercing through the walls of the seemingly perfect home. Outside, cars passed by, and neighbors carried on with their normal Sunday routines, unaware of the storm inside this mansion. Her mother tried to hold her gently, whispering soothing words, but Emily's cries only grew louder, desperate, and heart-wrenching. It was in that moment, just as her mother began to fear she couldn't handle it alone, that the front door swung open. Her father, a millionaire businessman who was rarely home, stood frozen in shock at the heartbreaking scene before him. He had just returned from a long, tense meeting in Manhattan, his mind still filled with numbers, contracts, and deadlines. Yet the moment he heard his daughter cry those words, "My hand hurts so much," everything else vanished from his thoughts. His leather briefcase slipped from his fingers and hit the hardwood floor with a thud, but he didn't even notice. His polished shoes echoed as he hurried across the room, his carefully planned life unraveling in an instant at the sight of Emily's pain. The man who once seemed unshakable suddenly felt powerless. Emily's eyes met his as tears continued to roll down her cheeks, and he saw fear in them, a fear no child should ever have to feel. "Daddy," she whimpered, stretching her other hand toward him. In that single word, all the walls he had built around his heart crumbled. He knelt beside her, his expensive suit crumpling on the carpet, and reached for her trembling hand. "Show me where it hurts, sweetheart," he said softly, his voice trembling with urgency. Her mother watched in silence, realizing this was a rare moment where the father's world collided with the life inside his own home. For years, his success had been measured in wealth, power, and recognition, but in that moment, none of it mattered. What mattered was the fragile little girl crying in his arms, the child who only wanted comfort and care. He examined her wrist carefully, terrified by how small and delicate it felt in his strong hands. He looked at his wife, his voice breaking, "Call the doctor, now." In that instant, the millionaire who had everything realized how quickly life could strip away the illusions of control and remind him of what truly mattered most. The ride to the hospital felt like an eternity, though it was only 15 minutes. Emily sat in the back seat, cradled against her mother, her father's eyes glued to the rearview mirror the entire way. His chest tightened every time she whimpered, and he gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. He had driven this car countless times, but never had a destination felt so urgent. The glowing city lights outside blurred past, but all he saw was his daughter's tear-streaked face. Each small cry stabbed his heart deeper than any business failure ever could. When they reached the emergency room, he scooped her up gently, ignoring the curious stares from strangers. This was not the confident businessman who walked boardrooms with authority. This was a father terrified for his child. Nurses rushed over, guiding them quickly as Emily clung to his shirt. He whispered promises in her ear that everything would be okay, that Daddy wouldn't let anything bad happen. For the first time in years, he realized how little time he had spent with her, and guilt gnawed at him as he carried her through the sterile white halls. The doctor examined Emily carefully, explaining that her wrist was sprained but not broken. Relief washed over him so strong it nearly brought him to his knees. He sat beside her hospital bed, holding her small hand in his large one, marveling at how much strength such a fragile little person could carry. She looked up at him with tired eyes and whispered, "Don't leave, Daddy. The words pierced his soul. He nodded firmly, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I'm right here, sweetheart. I'm not going anywhere again." And this time, he meant it. That night, as they returned home with Emily sleeping peacefully in the back seat, silence filled the car. But it wasn't empty. It was heavy with realization. His wife glanced at him, seeing something different in his eyes. For years, she had watched him chase success while missing the simple moments that truly mattered. Tonight, she saw a man changed, broken open by love and fear, finally seeing the truth. He reached over, taking her hand briefly, and whispered, "I should have been here more. I won't fail her again." His words carried the weight of a vow unspoken for too long. Back at home, he tucked Emily into bed with a tenderness that surprised even himself. He stayed by her side until her breathing grew steady and calm. Sitting there in the dim glow of her nightlight, he realized that no amount of wealth could replace the moments he had missed, the hugs he hadn't given, or the tears he hadn't wiped away. From that night forward, he promised himself to be more than a provider. He would be present, truly present for his daughter. The millionaire had everything, yet only now understood the true meaning of treasure.